way to work. Come on. He's hit that sack. The Steelers win the football game. Let's go! Come get it. You know what it is.
This one is in the history books.
Here we go.
Welcome to the 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show. I'm Missi Matthews. The Steelers had a week off to rest and recharge after going 3-2 to start their season. During their bye week, the last two undefeated teams in the NFL fell to backup quarterbacks, and the other three teams in the AFC North ended up in the win column. For more on how Pittsburgh spent their time off following a victory over the Ravens, let's welcome in Bob Pompeani, who's standing by with Coach Tomlin. Bob.
Hey, Missi, thanks very much. Hope everyone had a nice bye week. I know the Steelers got healthy. At least you would expect them to be healthy. But, Coach Tomlin, I want to first start about the last game because we haven't had a chance to talk about it. Some very big plays, especially late in that game, starting with Miles Killebrew, who has this habit of making these plays. How does he do it?
I tell you, if you've been a part of our organization and football team the last couple of years, you know it's not luck or a lightning strike. This is a guy that has a skill set in that area. He works it routinely. He masters his craft in that area. You can see him just about daily, pre-practice, post-practice, working on getting to the block point and having his hands at the proper place at the block point. It's just an awesome thing to witness, and it's a good teach tool for younger players. We're all afforded an opportunity in this thing to carve out a space for ourselves, regardless of roles. If you have a helmet on, you have an opportunity to do so. And there's a guy that's carved out a pretty unique space for himself. Without question, he's probably the number one block guy in the NFL right now.
You also have some big plays from your defense and offense. What about the one with Joey Porter Jr. on a veteran like Odell Beckham Jr.? I know that throw may have not been in the right spot, but he had to cover him and he did a good job. I'm really excited from an awareness standpoint that he realized that he was in the kitchen. You know, it was a possession down play, and he was in a one-on-one matchup on the weak side of a formation. That's where balls go in the National Football League, and he knew that and was ready for it and made the necessary play. It's just really a good, significant play for us in game, but just a really good, significant play in terms of being a building block for a young player. That play led to what ultimately was a game-winning touchdown pass. I'm just curious how much time you spent. You guys know Harbaugh very well. They know you. They do that cover zero. When you saw that, is that how that play eventually evolved?
Yeah, we've been in them circumstances versus that group so much. You could almost anticipate their personality. As a matter of fact, we talk openly about it during the course of the week in preparation for it. But that's just a component of it. The execution, Kenny recognizing and delivering the ball, George Pickens doing what he did to finish it. Is significant. Weighty plays made in significant moments have really kind of defined particularly the recent history of this series, and it's just cool to see a couple of young guys etch their place in this thing and make some significant plays for us in the pursuit of victory.
Looking back at last year, at the bye week, you made some changes to how you attacked the football, I think offensively. You had a 54% completion or percent of converting those third downs. First half of that wasn't so good. Kind of same thing this year. What do you have to do to get back to that? And I guess it starts with possession of the football a lot more than you have.
You know, it's more of the same, and we've kind of talked around it in a variety of ways. But, we're going to change where necessary. We're going to emphasize the things that we do well. We're going to work to minimize the things that we don't. We're carefully looking at the division of labor in terms of putting people in the very best position to be successful. And it's reasonable to expect us to grow in terms of information in those regards and let those individual agendas improve us in totality. It wasn't anything unique or obscure in terms of what we did a year ago. We just committed to coming to work every day and getting better. We weren't interested in blaming others or making excuses. We absorbed the negativity that came with our position. And I think I expect similar things from the group this year. We're in a better position than we were a year ago, but there's still components of our game that we don't like, things that need improvement. We're not going to run from those things. We're going to run to those things. And all the while, as they improve, we better do enough to win games.
Well, it starts this coming week. You have a big game against the Los Angeles Rams out in SoFi Stadium. Rams coming off a big win. We're going to talk about the Rams, what they've been doing, all coming up shortly. Missy, right back over to you.
All right, thanks, Bob. And the Rams are coming off a win against the Cardinals, and this Sunday will mark their third straight home game. Still to come later in the show, we go one-on-one with one of the team's free agent signees from this offseason. Cole Holcomb discusses being part of a revamped inside linebackers room and much more. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show.
Coming off their bye week, the Steelers are headed out west for the second time this season before enjoying 3 straight home games. They haven't faced the Rams since 2019, and that marked the only time Mike Tomlin and Sean McVay have gone head-to-head. For more on this East Coast-West Coast matchup, let's send it back over to Bob and Coach. Guys.
All right, Missy, thanks very much. It's the Rams coming up this week. It's a 4:05 game out at SoFi Stadium, and the Rams are a team coached by Sean McVay. They made some interesting adjustments, I thought, last week. They're taking on Arizona, and at halftime, I think they only had like 5 yards rushing and 6 points. Second half, they got guys in motion doing all sorts of things. What have you noticed from a McVay team in that regard?
They're going to have balance. They're going to be able to run it. They're going to be able to throw it. I think the significant component when you look at them, man, is just the veteran presence and experience and talents of Matt Stafford. He makes it all go. He's the architect on the field. Obviously, Sean is the architect from a strategy standpoint. But I just got a lot of respect for how they go about their business. They spread the ball around to a lot of eligibles. Starting to get a full arsenal back now that Cooper Kupp is back and competing, coupled with the rookie and Tutu, Higbee at tight end. They utilize all their eligibles. Stafford does a really good job of distributing the ball and doing it in a timely manner. They changed the launch point. It's quick game, it's misdirection pass, it's play action pass. They do a really good job of really staying a step ahead usually, and that's what makes them challenging.
Puka Nacua, the rookie 5th-round pick out of BYU, started on fire, set records for the first, and then Cooper Kupp comes back. He's kind of taken over that, and you would expect it because he's targeted like 10 times a game. How do you strategize both of those defensively, and knowing that they're going to use both of those weapons as much as they can?
You know, they always got some weapons. Nacua has just kind of risen up in the ranks, but there's always another guy that you need to be concerned about. In recent years, they've had Odell Beckham, Allen Robinson, Van Jefferson. They play out of multiple receiver sets. They spread the ball around to a lot of people, but make no mistake, the central figure is and has been Cooper Kupp. He has the relationship with Stafford, but also just the experience within their system of football, and he makes a lot of plays. Nakua's done a really nice job of seizing opportunity, and we often say one man's misfortune is another man's opportunity, and it created opportunity for him. And so he's been able to ascend and get a lot of attention, but we better do a good job of minimizing Cooper Kupp. That guy's tried and tested and got a lot of respect for his talents and how they utilize them.
Do you foresee any changes in distribution of plays? Joey Porter Jr. had a good game last week. We talked about that. Might he see more activity in that?
I'm open to continual growth in roles. You have to be, particularly for several reasons. At the early portions of the season, you're still discovering who you are individually and collectively and how to best utilize the talents. And players are ascending and descending in the midst of all of this, particularly the young players. Guys are gaining experience and know-how, confidence associated with it, and it's our job to recognize that and utilize that. And so, I'm open to all of those guys increasing their roles, and particularly some of the young ones that as you mentioned, Joey Porter Jr. being central to that.
Also, Minkah Fitzpatrick has been a tremendous tackler for your team, but he hasn't been in those roles that lead to significant plays. Is there something you can do schematically to make him more involved?
Minkah's a playmaker. It's like when people ask me about TJ and sacks. Just keep watching. They're going to come. Minkah's a dynamic playmaker and has been. Usually when they come in bunches. It'd be prudent not to question Minkah and his talents because he probably quickly is going to prove any of those doubters wrong.
Speaking of talent, you have Aaron Donald on the other side. You know him well. Watched him, I'm sure, throughout his college career. Now, the man is just driven. It's unbelievable what he's been able to do from someone at Penn Hills who didn't get much activity in terms of college offers. And here he is, a Hall of Famer to be. And yet he's still, in advanced years of the NFL, as effective as he's ever been.
Yeah. If anything, he's probably getting better. With experience, man, to pick the times in which he takes over a game, to recognize opportunities. It just seems like he's so efficient in his burst of energy and playmaking abilities. But if you're from Pittsburgh like I am and been around here, you're familiar with his exploits. I'm not surprised by anything that I see from him. Really, he needs no endorsement from guys like me. Just Wikipedia him. 3 Defensive Players of the Year awards, 7-time first-team All-Pro. Just a football Mount Rushmore type of a guy, and an honor to know him. And obviously, we're excited about competing against him because we're competitors, and that's what the National Football League is about, lining up and pitting your talents against the best in the world, and he is that.
Got some outstanding players on the field on Sunday and should lead to an unbelievable game between the Rams and the Steelers. When we come back, we're going to hear Mike Tomlin with his keys to the game against the Rams Sunday at 4:05. Missy, let's go back over to you.
All right, thanks, guys. You mentioned Pittsburgh native Aaron Donald and his dominance in the NFL since entering the league in 2014. He has faced his hometown team twice and had a sack in each appearance. Coming up next, inside linebacker Cole Holcomb sits down with us to talk about coming to Pittsburgh and gelling with a bunch of other new faces on the Steelers defense. Now it's time for this week's Yin's Chat trivia question. Which former Steeler holds the record for longest reception versus the Rams? John Stallworth or Santonio Holmes? We'll tell you after the break.
Welcome back to the 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show.
Your Yin's Chat trivia answer is Santonio Holmes with this 83-yard reception in 2007. Yin's Chat's regular season challenge is back, and each week answer Steelers trivia and make game day picks for a chance to win signed helmets, jerseys, footballs, or even a trip to the 2024 NFL Draft. And new this season, doubling. Answer the day's questions correctly and get double the points. Log into the Steelers mobile app now and play for a chance at this week's prize, an autographed TJ Watt jersey and 2 tickets to the Steelers and Packers game. The NFL is a business, and most players don't get to spend their entire career with just one team. Cole Holcomb signed with the Steelers this offseason after starting his NFL journey in Washington. Coming off a game where he had career highs in total tackles and solo tackles against the Ravens, we had a chance to go one-on-one with him to talk about settling into Pittsburgh and the Steelers defense.
He's back. He has time now. He shuffles his feet, throws it down the field, and the pass is broken up. What a play by Cole Holcomb there to break that baby up. He's going to be hit, and Holcomb has him. They put him in the dirt with a little bit of extra oomph.
Explain to me what it has been like coming to a new team, but also just being part of a brand new group other than Mark Robinson and trying to figure things out.
Yeah, I mean, coming in, they said it was a total revamp of the whole room. Like you said, only Mark Rob was there. I mean, I felt like, we were all trying to get to know each other, but it also, we also bonded over that in terms of like, hey, we're all guys that have been on teams before. We've also played quite a bit of ball. So I think we had a lot of things that we could relate to, be able to work off of and grow very quickly.
Coach Tomlin said this week he felt like your unit is playing better every game. The splash plays are coming. Do you guys feel that happening, or do you still feel like, man, there's so many more things we can do better?
I feel the splash plays coming, and I feel, that we are progressing, but I do think there's a lot of more meat on that bone, and I think we're, I think we're all capable of giving a little more, but, that's, the competitive side of all of us.
Do you think the Ravens game was the best performance for your group?
Cole Holcomb did a great job. You attack the mesh point. You make sure somebody's got the ball carrier.
Yeah, I feel like as a group total, you know, we were joking around like they didn't know who to mic that game. You know, it was one drive. It was, you know, I was making plays. The next drive it was Quan. The next drive it was E-Rob. And that game was honestly just a lot of fun.
In terms of what you guys felt in that Ravens game, does that carry over after a bye week into another game, or do you kind of start new because there was time off?
No, I mean, we definitely, you know, that's kind of been the talk all week. You know, we have to build on the energy that we brought in that game. So I think, you know, we've definitely maintained that, you know, even at practice, you know, like we're out there having a blast at practice.
The communication is so key at the position that you play. What has that been like as a defensive whole? You know, Minka's in the back. He's very talkative of you guys figuring out how to play together.
We all come from defenses where, you know, like I said, we've all played a lot of ball, and we all use our own terminology, and it's kind of like, you know, learning, okay, this is what Minka's talking about when he's telling me this. This is what Quan's talking about when this is what E-Rob's telling me. And learning, you know, hey, this guy, he looks at, you know, he's gonna look at this stuff so I can focus on a different area. So learning those, like how those guys think, play, communicate, it definitely allows you to, you know, try and dissect more from that offense, what they're giving you.
3rd down and 8, 10th play of the drive, end zone, touchdown, Cooper Kupp.
What type of problems do the Rams present to you guys this week?
You know, I mean, they got Stafford, Kupp, Puka. You know, I mean, I think Sean McVay is a great offensive mind, and you know, they do a lot, and a lot of motions, a lot of shifting. And Stafford, I mean, everything runs through Stafford. He's out there checking plays, and you know, he's dissecting those defenses. So we're definitely going to have to try and change that look up on them.
For you personally, your persistence, everybody, you know, the backstory of walking on at UNC, getting the scholarship, not getting invited to the combine, does that come from your dad and the relationship that you had with him growing up?
Yeah, I mean, he coached me at a young age, and you know, with him, it was like you never quit. You know, I was never allowed to quit during a season. You know, if it was a sport I didn't like to play, you could quit at the end of the season. You have to go play it again, but you're not going to quit. And then, you know, he was definitely a person that I would call every day. You know, when I was going through, you know, being frustrated at being a walk-on and how you know, getting treated that way, and then he's also the first one I'm calling when good things were happening. So I think he's been a big help in terms of keeping my head screwed on straight, and you know, keeping me on the right path.
Last important mullet question for you. Is Pittsburgh more embracive? Like, do you always get compliments here? Does it just feel like it embodies Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely, you know, I had trimmed it up right before I signed, and everybody was like, "What the heck happened?" I said, "Don't worry, I'm growing it back out." And you know, that was Mike T's first thing. He was like, "You better not cut that mullet." And I mean, I definitely think it's definitely, you know, still Steel Curtain vibes.
Awesome. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
You can catch the full interview on the Steelers' official YouTube page. Well, Pittsburgh has a great track record following their bye week. The Steelers have won each of their last 6 games after a week off, and under Coach Tomlin, they have a 12-4 overall record in such matchups. It's time now for your keys to the game, presented by your neighborhood Ford store. Let's send it back one final time to Bob and Coach. Guys.
All right, Missi, thanks very much. Let's talk to head coach Mike Tomlin about some of the biggest aspects of this game. You guys, I ask you this a lot, and I know you want to do it. Start fast. How important is it against that team, knowing the weaponry they have on offense?
It's a challenge, obviously, particularly because we're in their venue, and you don't want the environment to become more of a challenge than it already is. And that's oftentimes what slow starts might do for you in a road environment. Maybe a little bit different than at home. You might piss your fans off. But it doesn't make operation difficult from a crowd noise perspective and things of that nature. So obviously, man, we're working to continually start more fluidly in all 3 phases to position ourselves. But at the same time, we realize starts don't define us. We better be prepared for 60 minutes of football. We've been in the stadium against Matt Stafford before, where he came storming back against us at the end of the game. And so we can put all the emphasis on the start, but we'd be naive to put it exclusively on the start. We better be prepared to play 60 minutes of ball. Veteran quarterbacks, they get familiar with coverage and coverage mixes, and oftentimes they're storming at you at the end of games. And so that has my and our attention. The environment does as well. Obviously, you got to minimize significant players, guys like we've been talking about, Cooper Kupp and Aaron Donald. We got to make sure that our significant players have a platform to show their talents, and so some strategy from a schematic standpoint are a component of it. But it's just more than anything, it's about getting back in the world of the competitors, man, getting off of our bye, and excited about doing so, and doing so in a venue like the one that we're going to do it in LA. Is always fun.
You have a really good record coming off of bye. What is the key component about that? What makes that happen?
I really just focus one game at a time. When I got a bye, it gives me an opportunity to reflect and look at where we are and analyze us and some things that maybe we're doing well and maybe we're not doing well. And so the self-reflection that the bye gives you probably is good information to proceed into your next challenge. Oftentimes when you're in a 7-day cycle or a 6-day cycle, a lot of your attention is focused on the opponent, the next opponent, and the things that you need to do against them. And so it's reasonable to expect quality play and strategy coming out of byes. I'd imagine that could be said for a lot of teams, to be honest with you.
Well, nobody does it like you, though, after a bye. Hopefully it will continue in LA. Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it. That's going to do it for our program tonight. Steelers and Rams, 4:05. We follow with postgame on KDKA+. Make sure you tune in. Hear from Coach Mike Tomlin, players, and your calls as well. That's going to do it for our show. For Missi Matthews and head coach Mike Tomlin, I'm Bob Pompeani. Thanks for tuning in to the 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show right here. We'll see you next week.